All right, in this tutorial, I'm going to go over how to rename work papers using Python. So in Audit, sometimes we do get a lot of documents or support that we need to reference when we're testing. And if there's a lot of them, sometimes it's hard to put, work paper one, work paper two, work paper three on a lot of references. So I built a program that will look inside of a folder and it will rename all of the files in that folder with a prefix of WP 01, 02, and so on, so that we have an automated way of renaming all of our work papers to make it easier to reference them. All right, so this is the example workbook that I put out there and that for you guys to download from my site. So we're going to go ahead and extract it. All right, so now that I extracted it, it's here. Okay, and then first off, I'm just going to show you, I have two folders. One just has the original. If I want to do it over and over, I can do it, but rename files, so they have the exact same naming as the originals for now. There's no work paper number in front of them. And this program is going to look in this work rename files folder, look through each one to make sure it's a file. And then if it is, it's going to go ahead and add work paper and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on if you had a lot. All right, so to open up the Jupyter Notebook, we're going to type Jupyter Notebook in this address bar here. It's in this folder. It's going to open up this, which we can just minimize. We do need to leave it open. And then it's going to create, it's going to open up our directory in this browser, and we can open up this one. All right, so this is just the summarized version of the program. But basically, we need to import a few libraries. We're going to import OS, which is kind of stands short for operating system. And it's going to have a lot of operating system functions in it. The important ones we're going to call out as well as list directory, which is going to give us a list of files in a directory. And then it's going to say OS path import is file. So within this path, we want to use this function is file. That way, in case we have like folders inside of a directory, I don't really want to rename a folder. I just want to rename a file. If it's actual file, then it's going to rename it. All right. So this section is going to get our current location. So basically, it's going to find this location just on whoever's computer is on it. So that way, you do it with relative paths so that you can give it to a colleague or someone in the business, and they'll be able to run it on their computer very similarly. And they don't necessarily have to have like your computer and your path. So basically, we're going to get the current path where we are, and then we're going to look in the subfolder, rename files, okay? So we want to look inside of there. We're going to add them both together and call it CWD2. Okay, and then we're going to just kind of show it here. This is the full path. And you do need double backspace to kind of navigate within Windows. And that's going to basically pull this folder on our computer. See, this is like my user name on the computer and kind of the different folder structure on my computer. But on your computer, if you save it somewhere, it'll look a little bit different. All right, and then this section is going to loop through each of the items. Okay, and it's going to have a blank list. And as we look through the list of files in this directory, it's going to check if they're actually files. That's what this is files does. It's going to check to see if they're a file. And if they're a file, I want to add it to this list called file list. And I'm going to print these things along the way, just so we can kind of see the different files. And if something were to cause an error, we'd be able to see where it left off and which file is causing that error. So that's why I will often print things out. All right, so it's going to collect a list of files that we want to rename. And basically, the next thing we need to get is I want this one to be 1, right? The first file that's in here, I want it to be work paper 1, then work paper 2, work paper 3, work paper 4. So basically what we're going to do is for each of the files in file list, I is just going to say for each of these items, it's going to get the position value. Then if I get the position value, Python, it's going to start at 0. So whenever it gets this, it's going to be 0. And I don't actually want my work paper to be work paper 0. I'd like it to be work paper 1 for my first one. So once I get that position value, I'm going to ask to add a 1. Okay. And then what we're going to do, I wrote a little bit of a comment here, but we're going to use the os.rename function. And what this is going to take, it's going to take the original file that we want to do, and then that's the original files before the comma, and then after the comma is what we want to rename it to. So this was the directory with the rename folder, but then inside the rename folder, which is what this is going to do, it's going to look for the specific file name we're working with. So on the first one, it's going to look for this one. Okay, so original file plus the name of this file. And then it's going to return the name of the folder again, rename folder. But now we want to call it, we want to start with work paper, WP. That's normally how I organize my work papers. And then I'm going to get the string position. Remember, it's starting at 1 here. But whenever I sort things in files, if you just have the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and you sort them, a lot of times it'll see 1 and 10 next together and 2 and 20 next together whenever it sorts. So we like to have a leading 0. If you have that leading 0, then whenever you sort names, it's going to sort how you think. It'll sort work paper 1, 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, and so on. So that's what this function here is doing. zfill is going to force it to be 2 digits. If you need it to be 3 digits because you have, maybe over 100 documents you need to rename, then you're going to want to make this a 3, just to make sure you don't run out of those values in the front, the zeros that are kind of hold place values. All right, and then we're going to have WP, we're going to have the digit position, and then we're going to have the original name of the file. Okay, so all these things together is going to rename it from the original to the updated one. All right, so let's go ahead and run this and we'll see what happens to our rename folder. So open that. So for now, they all look like this. We'll run everything. All right, now when we look at it again, they're all numbered. Work paper 1, work paper 2, work paper 3, work paper 4. And if you had more, it would just keep on going. And like I said, if you have over 100, it's probably a good idea to change this to a 3, just so you have 3 digits. So it'll start at 001 and go up from there. But that should help you organize and rename a lot of files if you need to. But I hope this was helpful for you, and look forward to trainings in the future. Thank you.